Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TEDXcellence, the show where I take a look at off-brand TED Talks for information and enlightenment. Yeah, that's why I do this. Kind of. Sort of. Anyway, I'm coming to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dog Cat Fox, a can of Dr. Pepper, and a bag of goldfish. Minus the Dr. Pepper and bag of goldfish, because my supplies of such have run out in my Corona bunker. I'll have to make a run soon to the grocery store. Granted, I can find enough of those rubber gloves to wear so I don't get Corona virus. Anyway, hope everyone is doing well today, that you are all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon. Say hello to the one person that I know is watching, presumably. Corey Suzuki, hello. Attack Alpaca, hello. As you guys may know, YouTube is not telling subscribers when these things go live or that they're scheduled to go live in any way, shape, or form. So I do them when I have the opportunity to do them. Once my workday has reached either enough of a lull, not LOL, but LULL. Or I've finished my work for the day effectively, and I can get something done. Shio Garath, hello. The gayest person on YouTube, hello. Quinn the Cultist, hello. Pink Hall, the Driving Ape Man, hello. Dr. Plague, hello. You're probably not the most popular guy right now, unless the doctor part is you're curing the plague. John Smith, hello. Yeah, Decode, hello. Now, you guys need to tell me, are you getting the notification after I've gone live? You're just not getting anything on your subscription list before? Because I have been trying to give a little bit of leeway at the beginning of these things for people to show up on the off chance that that is the case. Chris R., hello. Angela Arriaga, hello. All right. So, almost instantaneously, says Geograph. Okay. Well, then I will make it a habit, as I already have, kind of, just out of, well, premeditated habit to say hello to people, to give a little lead time after I've started the stream for people to get alerted and hopefully show up. But anyway, today's episode covers a TEDx talk whose original title is On Diversity, Access Ain't Inclusion. And ain't is in the title. Ain't. Now, the or I should say the description of the talk deals with, in some fashion, affirmative action. I don't know to what extent or in what way it is, because I haven't watched this yet, except for checking to make sure the audio quality was up to my high standards. I have boosted the audio volume regardless, just to make sure. So that is apparently what we're going to go look at today. Let's see. American Celt, hello. Says, got a notice, but nothing in the feed. Yeah, it seems to be a feed problem. So when I go live, you get a notice, but there's nothing to tell you ahead of time in the feed that something is oncoming. All right. I'll keep that in mind for the future and use a couple minutes in the beginning to say hello to give people a chance to show up. Chicago Mike, hello. Kiefer Dam, hello. All right. Or actually, let me practice this real quick, because if you guys missed it, over on Tailed Features channel, I am starting to take lessons in Scottish Gaelic. So, to those of you who are in the AM side of the scale, Matin va. And to those of you who are on the afternoon side of the scale, Feskerma. If you don't know what I just said, go check out Tailed Features channel. There should be a little thumbnail there of a Yank being taught Gaelic, and you can find out what I just said. All right. So, guys, with all that being said, oh yeah, One Ton Hammer, hello. Uncle Thomas, hello. And I think that's everyone who's made themselves known. All right. So, as usual, I'm going to start up, and you guys tell me if you can hear this, and then we will proceed.
I remember the first time I stepped foot on the Amherst College campus.
Okay, I remember the first time I stepped foot on the Amherst College campus. You guys hear that? Let's see. Sounds fine, says Attack Alpaca. I can hear it, says Kiever Dam. Good, says John Smith. Corey Suzuki says heard it. All right, let us proceed.
It was with my mother and brother. We drove up from Miami. The flights were too expensive, and besides, we were all afraid of flying anyway. We pulled up to Pratt Dorm, got out of the car, took deep breaths of fresh country air, but then my brother starts to laugh. He saw a little critter run across the yard. He said, "Tony, y'all pay how much for school here and y'all got rats?"
Okay, this sounds very practiced. It sounds a little rushed, and that's not a bad thing. It just sounds very sort of like rehearsed, which is good. You know, if you want to keep your time down. This one's only 12 minutes, 23 seconds. And that's my having chopped off the opening and ending musical numbers because I don't know if those are copyrighted or anything. But okay.
Oh, it was a chipmunk. We had never seen a real one before.
You'd never seen a chipmunk before. But wait, you mistook a chipmunk for a rat. Wait a sec. Where were you coming from again? Sorry, I'm going to start this over a little bit because I just want to know.
I remember the first time I stepped foot on the Amherst College campus. It was with my mother and brother. We drove up from Miami.
You drove up from Miami, and your brother couldn't distinguish between a chipmunk and a rat. I mean, maybe it was moving really fast or something. I don't know, but okay.
Took deep breaths of fresh country air, but then my brother starts to laugh. He saw a little critter run across the yard. He said, "Tony, y'all pay how much for school here and y'all got rats?" Y'all, it was a chipmunk. We had never seen a real one before.
I'm assuming the only ones you'd ever seen were Chip and Dale. Well, all right, I guess.
His joke barely hid his excitement. It did nothing for his nerves. We were in another world. So yeah, me, here, a Harvard professor in an opera house, it's a testament to the fact that even undreamt dreams come true.
Okay, so this guy's a Harvard professor? Okay, I don't know who this person is to begin with. I don't know their credentials or anything, but okay, he's a Harvard professor.
I'm the proud son of a middle school security guard, the brother of a janitor, both hardworking but neither college educated. I'm from a poor, segregated community in Miami that even my local newspaper called a place time forgot. There are often more struggles and celebrations. High school was the finish line. When I was growing up, there were only 3 Ivy League schools: Harvard, Yale, and Princeton.
3. Now, this is a bit of trivia that I believe is true, and someone can correct me on this. The Ivy League, the IV, they're not actually talking about the plant. Supposedly, the origin of ivy is IV, as in royal, Roman numerals, indicating 4. There were 4 big colleges. There's only 3? Did one close? Maybe I missed something.
And the only reason why Princeton makes the list is because of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That's not funny. And not in an offensive way, just like the absence of humor.
But such is the pernicious power of poverty. It isolates and it separates. It creates 2 worlds occupied by the haves and the have-nevers. So much so that people equate poor students like myself making it into college as having made it. The golden ticket, not to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, but to those bastions of power and privilege.
Well, it's a classic American, rags to riches story. Someone who goes from a situation where they don't have much and they make something of themselves. It's very sort of, self-starting, independent. There you go. And you just said it yourself. You're a Harvard professor standing in an opera house as compared to the, relatively humble beginnings that you started out with and those of your family. Why would you take pride in the one but then denigrate it at the same time?
Yet getting in is only half the battle. Colleges, like many organizations, have invested millions in diversity recruitment, but have thought less about what to do when students arrive on campus.
So, wait, getting in is only half the... Okay, I'm trying to absorb this as we go to see what the message is. Sorry, guys.
Access ain't inclusion.
Access ain't inclusion. You're a Harvard professor. Okay.
Part of the reason why is because colleges get their new diversity from old sources. My research is the first to show that colleges get half of their poor Black students from boarding and day schools.
Your research is the first to... Wait, are we talking about race or are we talking about class? Because if it's a matter of those who can't afford to go to the, centers of privilege and power, why are we talking about race? I'm more than happy to talk about, people who are lacking funds having the opportunity to go to higher quality education things on the basis of merit. Because, that's a little barrier that you can't really help sometimes. You just don't have the money. Your parents don't have it, circumstances, etc. But you may be a viable candidate for a higher education, depending on what you do and what your initiative is, etc. Why are we talking about race?
1/3 of Latinos are too. I call these students the privileged poor.
You call those students the privileged poor because they're Black and Hispanic and come from specific kinds of schools? Okay, that's your classification, I guess.
Colleges like poor students from private schools because they have cultural capital.
Okay, well, that's an interesting accusation. But all right, if that's what colleges are doing. And so are you the recipient of that insidious way of thinking then?
Those taken for granted ways of being that are valued in mainstream institutions. The other poor Black and Latino students attend local, typically distressed public schools. They don't enter with the same cultural capital.
Okay, so what do you mean? I mean, if I show up at college, okay, and the admissions office obviously knows where I came from or what my experience was, and they have my paperwork and all that fun stuff. All right, the college admissions board might know my details. But unless or until those details become pertinent in my interactions with students or teachers or otherwise, what cultural capital is at play here? Aside from what the college could report in its annual, let's say, assessment of things, like if for some reason they highlight where their students are coming from, they're not naming you individually necessarily. So what does that have to do with your college experience? If you made it to college on the basis of your merits or whatever, all that stuff only comes up if you decide to make an issue of it. Or am I missing something?
I call these students the doubly disadvantaged. It was my interviews with 103 undergraduates that show how poverty and inequality stop those who made it.
Well, what? 103 you had to interview with 103 undergraduate students to get into one college? Or am I misunderstanding that you interviewed with 103 graduate students across different colleges? I don't know. It seems kind of odd. But aren't you the beneficiary of this twisted system? So, okay, sorry, we'll continue.
You see, when students enter college, whether a community college or an Ivy League institution, they encounter a hidden curriculum, a system of unwritten rules and unsaid expectation. Professors throw around class terms like office hours, yet they only say when they are. They never say what they are.
What? What? Okay, this is one of those points at which if I was doing an edited video, I would go back and break down what he said bit by bit to try to figure out what he's saying. And so this is my attempt to do that. I apologize, but like I say, I am trying to understand. So let me back up a little bit.
Whether a community college or an Ivy League institution, they encounter a hidden curriculum.
Okay, so whether you're attending a community college or an Ivy League school, you encounter a hidden curriculum. A hidden curriculum. Okay.
A system of unwritten rules and unsaid expectation.
A set of unwritten rules and unset expectations. Okay. And now, this is for any student? Or are you just talking about students who started from humble beginnings, let's say? But okay, so you go to college, there's the actual curriculum, the classes you signed up for, the things you are expected to do or behave as a student there, and then there's the unwritten rules, which I think just about any organization, institution, or group in the world probably has, but or just like those rules expected of you as a civilized, amenable human being. Like, they probably don't have a rule that says don't spit in people's faces, but you probably shouldn't spit in people's faces. I mean, okay.
Professors throw around class terms like office hours.
Professors throw around class terms like office hours. All right, class terms. Are you talking about terms involved in the classroom? Or are you talking about class, like rich and poor terms? Like office hours. Class terms like office hours. Are office hours... Well, I guess it is a term. Throwing it around, it's like my office is open from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. or something. Throwing it. I know, guys. I'm really not trying to pretend to be dumb here. I'm really trying to understand what's going on. All right. Throw around class terms like office hours.
Yet they only say when they are. They never say what they are.
They are professors. I mean, yeah. What are they supposed to say? What do you mean what they are? They're hours? I don't know. Are we talking about spans of time? When they are, not what they are. Please tell me you're going to explain what you're talking about.
You see, colleges expect students to be comfortable engaging faculty.
Well, yes, or at least make the attempt to. But of course, I guess it all depends on person to person, situation to situation, and professor to professor. But if you choose not to interact with the faculty, you're probably not getting as much out of your college experience as you possibly could, if your concern is education. Okay. All right. So colleges expect you to interact with faculty, or be comfortable interacting with faculty. Okay.
I mean, this is the road to recommendation letters. It's the road to emotional support when times gets rough. Connecting with faculty is even valuable for your GPA. One research project showed that each visit to office hours corresponds with a 1.25% bump in your final grade for that course.
Okay, well, I'll take your word for it. I stipulate to that. Interacting with the faculty outside of just going to class can enhance your possibility of getting a recommendation letter, or even understanding the subject better that you do better in the class, or at least understanding what the teacher's expectations of you are and conforming your work to fit their expectations and thus getting a better grade. Whether or not that actually contributes to a better understanding of the subject is, well, it's all out there in the ether somewhere. I had a teacher in high school, and for some reason, and this tells you how old I am, for some reason, And to this day, I don't understand it. She was really, I don't want to use the word excited, maybe fascinated, not in like a positive way necessarily, about the Oklahoma City bombing. Okay. If you could somehow tie any paper you were writing in the class back to the Oklahoma City bombing in some way, she would give you an A, like flat out. Now, I don't remember how I figured this out. I don't remember what made this become a cheat code for this particular teacher, but it was true. One person wrote a paper on, we wrote papers on the exact same thing, basically said the same thing, but one kid tied it to the Oklahoma City bombing, and she made some notations saying it's very profound or something, and that guy got an A, whereas somebody else got like a B. And so it became a thing to just find a way to tie your subject into the Oklahoma City bombing, and you did better. Now, that is kind of a cheesy high school, was it high school? It was high school, version of, how to write for your audience as far as the professor's concerned. But okay, sure, interacting with the faculty can enhance your educational experience and or your prospects. All right, I agree. Now, are you going to tell us why that's bad?
Yet this expectation goes unsaid. There's no manuals of do's or don'ts, whens or hows.
Maybe because they expect you to take the initiative as a grown adult to figure it out for yourself. Do you need to have your hand held in college? I mean, really? And prior to college, you never talked to your teachers before about the assignments you were working on or the subject matter. It never occurred to you in elementary school, junior high, high school, maybe community college before you went on to a 4-year. It was never the case that you ever spoke to your teachers or found an advantage in your studies by speaking to your teachers. That is an unwritten rule in college that no one told you about. Really? Okay.
And unspoken, if undergraduates want something, they will come, operates as the gold ticket. The college corollary to the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Imagine the culture shock then that the doubly disadvantaged experience.
What? Okay. Whether you come from a poor background, a fair background, or a well-off background, if you go to school from elementary through high school, and it is never the case that you ever think to yourself, gee, maybe I would benefit from speaking to the teacher or asking a question about the subject matter. Because, of course, that never happens in the course of a class where you're actually talking with the teacher or the teacher is talking to you. No, it is a silent relationship between teacher and student all the way through your education up to college. Really? That's an unwritten rule. You need a graduate student to advise you to speak to the teacher about the subject you are learning. I know I'm caught on this, but it just sounds like a preposterous complaint. Unless you've never attended anything that could be considered a class before. If you've never been to school and are suddenly dropped whole hog into college, I don't believe you. I really don't believe you. Thank you. This is Kyle. So I can't use scribe anyone or anymore. Wait, you can't use my handle. You can't use my handle? That's bizarre. Are we being like name censored or something? Like it happens to Ranting Monkey. I don't know if it happens to Satsu. Really? You can't use my... Okay, Kyle, that's bizarre. You mean for super chats or in general? Yeah, Shiogarath got my tag in there. Okay, old guy gamer. So is it maybe just super chats? I don't know. That's weird. Anyway, moving on.
It was otherworldly for Valeria, a lower income student from the Midwest. Her teachers spent more time maintaining order than making connections.
Again, either you take the initiative or you don't. And maintaining order, well, I don't know. How unruly were the kids? How much time did she have to make a connection? I know these are all irrelevant questions.
She entered college believing in the American dream. She believed that her advancement should be about the work.
All right. Thank you, Corey Suzuki. Scribe. Well, thank you. Okay, so she believed in the American dream, that it should be about the work. Okay, so she did the work of asking her teacher for help or guidance then?
It was how her father saw the world. It was also how he told her to see it as well.
But he was wrong?
Mija, you don't want to get ahead by kissing ass, right?
Okay. Thank you, Asian Hippie. Scribe, I'm confused. All right, well, maybe it's just Kyle. Maybe Kyle's being sunk for some reason. Maybe it's regional. I don't know. That's bizarre. You don't want to get ahead by kissing ass. Okay, well, to be cynically pragmatic, it is the unfortunate case that sometimes in life you have to kiss some ass to get ahead. It's just one of those unwritten rules. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you could get by without doing so. It's true. You could. It's not impossible. But once in a while, you got to grit your teeth and tell somebody what they want to hear, because it's easier than continuing to push up against a brick wall. I don't know what to say. That's just one of those things. And thank you again. This is Kyle. Okay, now it lets me use Scribe. What the hell? I don't know. I wish I knew. I don't control super chats. This is all YouTube's doing. I'm sorry. Moving on.
You want it based on hard work. It'll take longer, Mija, but you'll feel more proud.
Okay, you can both work hard and occasionally have to grease the wheels, as it were. These things are not mutually exclusive. And people don't get all the way through life just kissing ass. I mean, unless you're a movie reviewer or something.
Let us not be quick to label this father's advice as bad. In 2016, a dean from Dean College reached out to me. She wanted to know how could she increase academic engagement among her lower income students.
Because lower income students are a completely different breed somehow, I guess. And she came to you because you're a Harvard professor that focuses on this, I guess?
I said, let's start with something basic. Let's define office hours.
What? What? Office hours. It's like when a store is open, you know, you go to a restaurant, let's say, or after the pandemic's over with, let's say. You go to a restaurant, you look on the door, there's a little thing there that says hours of operation. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. or something. I know that's a very short time, but this is the first time frame that came to mind. All right, whatever, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. All right, okay, that's the hours of operation. That is when the restaurant is open for business. Office hours for professors. Aside from everything else they're doing, from teaching classes to reviewing tests or essays or something, to attending conferences or God knows what else, they are open from X hour to Y hour. What needs to be defined about office hours?
Something I said resonated with her.
Was it that? Because I have no idea what you're talking about.
When she finally asked her students why they didn't visit her in office hours, they said, Miss, we thought that was your time to do your work in your office undisturbed.
Are you kidding me? You have got to be kidding me. Okay, I don't know if you heard that, but one of my neighbors has a crying child. That's exciting. Okay, well, all of those students are denser than lead.
It's a reasonable assumption to make.
No, it's not. No.
Something was lost in translation that had nothing to do with English proficiency.
Wait. Okay, and I know I'm predicting here, but are you going to tell us that the concept of office hours, understanding or deciphering that phrase, is different based on class? That is the only direction I can see this going for this example. That depending on your family's historical income bracket, you interpret office hours as one thing or another. Is that what I am to understand?
But let us remember the privileged poor, those alumni of prep schools where contact with faculty is not only encouraged, but built into the structure of the place.
Yeah, because contacting faculty is never an aspect of any educational institution, from public elementary school all the way through high school, from prep school to whatever. Yeah, talking to the teacher never happens. Speaking to the teacher after class about a question you have. No, never a concept that's ever presented anywhere at any time for anyone unless you're in a prep school. What are you talking about?
Students like Agun. A reflective Latina, Agun hails from a troubled neighborhood but attended a New England boarding school. She was taught in high school by PhDs. PhDs were also dorm parents. She entered college feeling entitled to talk to a professor and say, "Hey, I want to meet with you. My high school told me I can do that."
Uh-huh. And then they would say, "Well, my office hours are from 11 to 2. Come speak to me then." Because that's what office hours are for. Make an appointment, like you would with anyone at any point in the course of your regular life where you're having to consult a professional for assistance with something, whether it's your doctor or a lawyer or your college professor. Where is this going?
It's actually my right. Even when her professor was away from campus, she had no qualms calling him for virtual office hours despite friends' surprised looks.
Well, as long as the teacher had that open as an option and said, if I'm not at the college, you can do X, Y, and Z to reach me. Is this a breakdown in communication from specific professors telling adult students, grown adult students who have made it as far as college, that office hours means this is the time in which you may consult me for help with your studies? This is something only afforded to prep school students. She's entitled. She has the right. Well, I mean, if you want to look at it from, I'm paying for this education, then yes. However you're there to learn. And the professor's job is to teach you. And so long as you're not like stalking them or something, but you're adhering to their office hours or whatever methods they give available to contact them, then sure, okay, I guess.
Undergraduates from America's forgotten neighborhoods and ignored schools are truly disadvantaged if colleges continue to privilege privilege.
What are you talking about? Once you've reached college, where you came from, the extent of your education, whether it was prep school or public school, is irrelevant to everyone else. If you don't take the initiative to contact the professor, you're making that choice. Is the college meant to hold your hand through every step of the process? I mean, if the professor says, "Hi, I'm Professor Smith. I will be your English studies teacher. If you need to contact me outside of class, my office hours are blah, blah, blah." I mean, none of that is ever put into a syllabus. The professor never makes it that clear, so everyone knows everything. It's just an unwritten rule. And if you don't come from a prep school, this isn't an understanding that you possess. Okay.
We cannot assume that all students have had a chance to practice, let alone master these skills before they arrive on campus.
Okay. I will grant you that. But some things you ultimately have to figure out for yourself. I honestly cannot remember a college class I attended. And I didn't go to some Ivy League college. I went to like a state college. Okay, I went to community college for my first 2 years because it was cheaper for my parents to get my AA, and then I moved on to a 4-year to finish up and get my BA. Okay, but in all that time, I cannot remember an instance where at the first day of a class, the teacher, professor, whatever, handed out a syllabus that did not have their office hours on it. And they did not say in either explicit or easily understood terms, if you need to speak with me after class, you can see me at my office from X to X, or you can email me a question. Because, they had email back in the olden days. I don't even know what dimension this guy is coming from on this. Seriously. I mean, if you come to a college campus, oftentimes, either they will have people there that can walk you through where things are or how this college works or how things are located or whatever, or they have an orientation period where they give you all that information about stuff and you attend it, or you don't, I guess, and you just end up being completely ignorant of what's going on. Or if somebody doesn't give you the information that you think you need, God forbid you take the initiative and ask someone for help. I am honestly bewildered right now.
And as office hours in college become open door policies at work, this process, it can continue.
What? What? Okay.
We wonder why we can hire diverse applicants, but we can't seem to promote them.
Oh, what? 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 What are you talking about? Okay, you hear this? That's me putting my glasses down on the keyboard and rubbing my eyes with the palms of my hands because I have no idea what to say to this. I am speechless. I don't even know what he's complaining about right now. If you go through college, never understanding what office hours means, then you will never speak to your superior at work on the prospect of getting promoted? Okay, is that what I am to understand?
Recommendation letters in college are dependent upon relationships with faculty, just as promotion at work is dependent upon relationships with superiors.
Well, okay, that statement taken in isolation, yes, there is a relationship between gaining an advantage in your particular path, educational or career, and engaging with those people who are the decision makers for such advancement. This is true. It can happen where you get a promotion having not done anything but do your job, right? You might be offered something, or maybe you're your pay grade will be increased or something without having done much of any interaction with your superiors. It's not impossible. But if you take the initiative to pursue advancement, whether it's educational or career, by going to the people who make those decisions or who have the power to help that along, then yes, there is a relationship there. But the implication here is that class precludes one from understanding that concept, or that's the only conclusion I can draw from where we began to where we are.
For me, I went to Gulliver Prep and learned how to navigate office hours similar to a goon. I got those letters of recommendation, one even coming from the college president. I learned that it's not just what you know and who you know, but also about who knows you and how well they do.
Oh, wow, what a revelation. I am sure that no one outside of your storied prep school could have possibly figured that out. God, how is it that someone like me, humble me, who never, ever attended anything other than public school up through community college, didn't understand that? God, I don't know how I ever got through life without having gone to prep school first, because you're right. You're absolutely right. There is nothing in a public education or a low-level community college that can prepare you for the concept of talking to people, or that relationships help further you along in your endeavors. You're right. Only prep school kids get that kind of education. I guess.
But I am not so naive. The stumbling blocks to inclusion are not merely social. Colleges take for granted not just what students know, but also what they can afford. Sometimes the very policies that colleges implement hurt all lower income students.
Okay, are we talking lower income students? Are we talking about class? Or are we talking about race? Because you said inclusion, which is oftentimes conjoined with diversity, and you pointed out specifically Black students and Latino students. Now, are you associating race with class as intertwined, or are you talking about them simply as individual separate concepts? Because one does not necessarily suggest the other, unless you're a racist.
The privileged poor and the doubly disadvantaged alike. College's decision to shut down during spring break, assuming that all people can leave for fun in the sun, is a case in point.
Colleges don't shut down for spring break. You can still live on campus. You can stay on campus. I didn't go anywhere for spring break or winter break. I just lived in my dorm. There were no classes going on, but they didn't come and pick me up and kick me out onto the street. Thank you, Cryptic. Racist. I don't know where he's going. The implications of what he's saying are bizarre to my way of thinking. But then maybe I'm just not the privileged poor or something. Okay, take your time. Are you really upset over spring break? Yeah, no, really, take your time. Spring break must be a sore spot for you.
But what if you can't go home?
Well, what kind of on-campus housing do you have? You have a place to live on campus. They don't. I mean, granted, I don't know what goes on at Amherst College, if that's what he's talking about. Do they go door to door on spring break and like make you leave? Okay, and I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't know how colleges operate when it comes to spring break or vacation. If they force you to leave, if they do not give you an option to live on campus during the interim, Okay, I guess that wasn't my experience at my college. And my college wasn't some fancy college. It was just your basic state college. So I'm confused. Okay, this is obviously a very emotionally sore spot for you with all this silence. Okay, yeah, you're really hurt by the notion that you couldn't go home. Were they literally trying to kick you out on the street? I'm really curious about this part now.
Well, what if you don't have a home to go to?
Again, do you have on-campus housing? Did you have a dorm? Did you have an apartment off campus? How are you living at college? Were they literally kicking you out of college for spring break? Like you were not allowed to go to your dorm room? You had to move out? Is that a thing, guys? And I'm asking the chat because I don't know. I've only been to a community college where I went to from home, and then one state college that I lived at on dorms and later on in off-campus housing. But at no point during any vacation did I have any of the RAs or something coming around saying, you have to leave the premises now for spring break. I don't know that. One Ton Hammer, these are life lessons your parents teach you. Well, you would think that just moving through the basics of life in general would teach you a lot of these things. But now I'm honestly very curious to know, did Amherst College physically remove anyone from their dorm rooms or their campus housing when spring break rolled around? I'd like to know this. If you guys have answers to that, I will check for them after the presentation is done, because I'm curious to know.
What about for you if hurt and home are synonymous?
Well, do you have friends you can stay with or something? What does this have to do with office hours?
Campus, for better or for worse, is your refuge.
Okay, sure. And your personal traumas stipulated. You're away from home. You're away from the pain. But again, are they physically removing you from your on-campus housing for spring break? Old Guy Gamer says they did it to Weibo. I thought that was because of the Corona thing. I didn't think that was because of like scheduled vacations. Deco. When I was on campus, we didn't have to leave for breaks. This dude is full of it. Again, I don't know what the policies are at Amherst College. I guess that would be the place to go to ask.
Yet professors flee and friends leave.
Flee? It's a scheduled break. They're not running from anything except maybe the stressors of work. Friends leave? Well, if they have plans of where to go for spring break, or their homes are not a source of pain, then sure, professors flee. They're not required to be there. Classes are closed for the break. What are you talking about?
Buildings close.
Yes, because the college is closed for spring break.
They even turn down the heat in the dorms.
Oh, they turn down the heat. They don't turn it off. Well, why don't they turn it off? I mean, obviously they're removing you all from your housing. Are you just upset you didn't have somewhere to go for spring break? Because it sounds a lot like you're just upset you didn't have anywhere to go for spring break.
You walk past the cafeteria and the lights are out and the chairs, they're stacked on top of the tables.
What? Yes, because the cafeteria is closed. Because the school is closed. It's spring break. So go to the store and buy some ramen. Why? Seeing chairs on tables is traumatic for you? Okay, setting aside college, how did you survive life to that point.
You walk past the cafeteria and the lights are out. You literally can still, though, see the plates and trays, the forks and knives through the fence that bar you from entry.
What is... Okay. Okay. Okay, the cafeteria. The lights are out, guys. The chairs are on tables. You can still see the plates and the forks. Oh my God. Ramen. This is in the one instance I'll agree with Monkey. Ramen is your friend in those lean times.
It comes as no surprise why poor students like Ariana call spring break.
Sorry, guys, my phone is ringing. I'll be back in just a second. Sorry, guys, for that intermission. Kept it brief. I should have, and I didn't, and that's my own fault. Silence my phone. But hey, that's live TV. What can I tell you? So let me do that right now. And I will catch up with that shortly. Okay, apologies. But it was a welcome break from understanding the painful trauma of the closed cafeteria. All right. We continue.
Break the real Hunger Games.
Oh, okay. I'm backing up because I missed that. I need to get that point again. Let's try that again.
Are you from entry? It comes as no surprise why poor students like Ariana call spring break the real Hunger Games.
Okay, if you do not know that on spring break the colleges go buy some ramen. And what does this have to do with office hours again?
But just how close it comes to living in the districts is downright depressing.
The districts?
When campuses close, students combat food insecurity.
What? When campuses close, students combat food insecurity. Is that the same privileged poor students? Or is that just students in general who don't plan ahead or don't have access to ramen?
Not knowing where their next meal is coming from.
Okay, if you're at college, if you're at an Ivy League school, purportedly, well, there's money there. You're either on scholarship or your family's paying for it or something. But okay, all right. Let's say, just for the sake of argument, that your time at college is paid for and nothing more. Your housing and your classes. That's it. Here's a thought, and I know this is going to sound condescending, but here's a thought. Get a job.
Sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures.
Oh, I can't wait to see where this is going.
You know, I attended a conference for first-generation college students, and I met a young woman. She was white, witty, and wore her hair in a pixie haircut.
What does her race have to do with it? I'm very curious to know.
She had on a blue Columbia University sweatshirt. She stood brave in a room to discuss how she spent her last spring break at one of the most wealthiest colleges in the country. She increased her online dating activity the week before spring break to secure dates the following week.
So she could scam free meals out of guys? Is that where this is going? Because I think that's where this is going.
Banking on gender norms of older men paying for the first meal, she treated OkCupid as if it was DoorDash.
That tells you a lot about that girl's character and what she thinks of other people, specifically men. Why not, I don't know, get a job?
She treated Tinder as if it was Grubhub.
Yes, and that's not something to celebrate. You're not celebrating that kind of thinking, that kind of making people into walking wallets, are you?
Outpriced and overextended, she offered her time.
So she was romantically prostituting herself?
This makes no sense.
No, it makes sense if you're lazy and have no problem taking advantage of other people's emotions.
But this is a reality for many students across the country.
Many lazy, manipulative, and I don't even know. There's probably a bunch of other adjectives I could use. Yeah, if that is your way of thinking and moving through life and everything else, I have no sympathy for you.
2 out of every 5 undergraduates in America are food insecure.
And this has to do with office hours. What? It doesn't sound like they're food insecure. It sounds like they are work averse.
Instead of investing time learning linear algebra, many invest their times making ends meet.
By getting a job or scamming people? Which do you think is more, I don't know, celebratory?
You know, the question of if diversity is worth it is ever present. And not just at colleges, but at organizations of all stripes.
Wait, what does scamming somebody out of a meal have to do with diversity? What does not understanding the concept of office hours by the time you reach an Ivy League school, what does that have to do with diversity? What are you even talking about?
The answer is yes, it is. But we should not be surprised when certain new groups struggle. These unwritten rules and injurious hurdles don't just trip them up. It keeps them on the outs.
Well, okay, and I'm honest. I know it's comical. Trust me, I'm laughing at myself on the inside here every time I make these noises. It's because my brain does not have the capacity to articulate just how bewildered I am with where he's been going with this. I need a through line. If you guys have listened to me for any period of time, you know that I'm a relatively rational, logical, step-by-step, formulaic individual when it comes to stuff like this. And I am having the hardest time deciphering the point.
We must move from access to inclusion, and data will help in this endeavor. I've shared with you just 2 issues that undercut diversity's efforts.
You have? Okay, so office hours and food insecure? Are those the two issues?
The hidden curriculum and food insecurity.
There is no hidden curriculum. If your definition of hidden curriculum is not understanding the concept of office hours, then I don't know what to tell you. You've obviously not been paying attention to life among people or school your entire existence. I understood what office hours were, and I never attended a prep school. My family wasn't well off. That whole concept is so far beyond rational to me that it's almost completely nullified on its face. As far as food insecurity, get a job. Okay? I wouldn't encourage anybody to go scamming people on dates for free meals. That's... I can't believe that you were holding that up as something to, I don't know, look at someone with respect for. Okay. Yeah.
There are many more, both social and structural in nature. So I'll leave y'all with this. What else do we take for granted?
That everyone is going to assume that poor people are dumb. I mean, that's what you are doing right now. You are telling us that poor people are dumb. I don't have any other way of putting it. Poor people don't know how to talk to others, don't know how to plan ahead, don't understand the concept of earning money to pay for food. That's all I'm taking for granted here from your presentation, which is completely and absolutely ludicrous. But that is what I am taking from your presentation at this point.
Thank you.
Really? Really? Applause for that? Really? 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 Okay. All right. Well, you've heard my thoughts and reactions. So chat, we're just up over an hour. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to let me know what you thought about that. Okay, Decoed, Wakanda Forever. Was that what he was doing? I assume. Okay, I'll assume that's what he's doing. Attack Alpaca. They'll applaud anything, won't they? I mean, each TEDx audience is a different audience for the most part, unless I get like 2 or 3 videos from the same event. So this audience was willing to applaud that. Thank you, One Ton Hammer. Easy Scribe, don't have a Sinatra on us. Yeah, well, woo, woo, woo. Asian Hippie, I'm speechless. Yeah, I'm, as you could tell, at many points I was too. Dead Kaiser wants sunglasses because it's bright as fuck outside. You mean the future? Future's real bright. No room for squares. I refuse to believe that if a student were to approach a college over not having any food, that there wouldn't be some type of aid. There are a lot of assumptions made here of like the worst possible scenario. And again, I don't know how each college handles those things. Okay, I mean, I remember leaving for summer break. But even then, like there was one year in my 4-year college where I didn't have anywhere to go for summer break. Or I didn't have any reason to leave. And in fact, I think, if I remember correctly, actually, I took a couple of summer classes to bolster up some prerequisites I didn't have. And they didn't kick me out. You know, it was really quiet on campus. But there was still I think there was limited food service. I don't know if the cafeteria was open the whole time, but then I was just up the street from the grocery store, and I earned some extra money for myself while I was there with a little on-campus job. So I don't know. I'm just bewildered. Assassin of the Gray, Scribe, I shilled the show. Scribe, got you covered. Thank you, Assassin of the Gray. And also, guys, going forward, if you do tweet out the link without doing like a retweet of my original posting, please be sure to tag me in it so that I know that you did so and I can say thank you, because I really do appreciate it. Dragon Mage, how does he remember to breathe without being reminded? Like I say, you would have to assume from his description of reality that anyone breathing coming to college who never attended a prep school is just completely incapable of operating as a human being, let alone a student. I don't even know. Assassin of the Great, I has no twatters. Well, unfortunately, with YouTube not notifying people when these things are scheduled, Twitter is my only real social media that I use to let people know stuff. So, I mean, I don't recommend getting Twitter if you don't want to, and you don't have to. But I am limited in my options. So I can't give you a definite schedule for when these things will happen because of my work schedule, but somewhere in the range of 11 a.m. to 12 or 1 p.m. Pacific time is where I will do them if I'm going to do one on any particular day. Save for those days that I do Lords of the Night on Tuesdays and Fridays, because I want to limit myself to one broadcast per day at worst. Let's see. Becca Fairley, affirmative action has disabled basic human survival instincts. That's my takeaway from this one. Well, he never brought up affirmative action specifically that I saw. I saw affirmative action mentioned in the description of the video when I first found it. So I don't remember. Did he mention affirmative action in this? Because my brain was blasted otherwise, and I might have missed it. Let's see. Nothing for you here. That's the thing about living in a wealthy country that's relatively free. You can usually get help if you need it. Yeah, his version of on-campus reality for a Ivy League school, as he described, because I can only assume he's talking anecdotally because he was walking by that cafeteria a lot, I guess, doesn't sound correct to me. That doesn't sound like that makes any sense. That spring break means you're just suddenly, I am legend, and everything's gone, and you're by yourself with your dog on the street, and there's no one around. That doesn't make any sense. It's not really the Hunger Games, unless you just, I don't know. Anyway, sorry, I'm repeating myself. Dead Kaiser, LOL. I'm not a vampire. Literally, my eyes can't stand the bright light outside. I'm used to it being cloudy. Oh. Okay, well, I can empathize with that to a certain extent. I'm indoors so often that when I do finally go outside, sometimes it takes a minute to adjust. That one servant of Satania who wishes Middleland won would be fun to have someone trying to justify how affirmative action treats Asians, because racism against white people doesn't need justification for them, but anti-Asian one ... Yeah, they don't bring that up very often, do they? And Fairly Becca, I will happily assume he gained a college education through affirmative action. I don't know. I mean, he was talking about it like he got into prep school on some kind of scholarship or something. So I don't know what his personal history is, but he was implying it as talking from someone from that perspective. So the privileged poor and his family background that he mentioned and everything else, I can make assumptions, but I don't know. But regardless of what his personal circumstances were, like I say, the world he's describing in college, the reality of being not advantaged financially and what that means to understanding what office hours are makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. And Original Shroom, cradle to the grave caretaking is what he's asking for. I can't argue, given what he was giving us, that somehow everybody needs to have their hand held through every single step of life. The unwritten rules, even up against the written rules. I don't know. So, yeah. Well, guys, that was profound. As you probably heard from me, that was profoundly incomprehensible. But hey, this is TEDx, the off-brand of TED. So do I really expect anything more? We'll find out next time in the next episode of TEDXcellence. So guys, thank you so much for joining me today on this adventure. Thank you to everyone who donated. I really do appreciate your generosity, even if YouTube is glitching out my name from time to time or something. And all of you, please stay safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon. And look for me, Satsu, and Ranting Monkey tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, over on Satsu's channel for Lords of the Night. Everyone stay safe, and I will talk to you blah, blah, blah. Stay safe, and I will talk to you soon, because Scribe can enunciate once in a while.